Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Rodeo Houston Live, our December edition of Rodeo Houston Live. Thanks for tuning in. We're going to give folks about a minute to join us here through the different channels, either Facebook or YouTube, wherever you're tuning in, however you're tuning in. We'd love to hear from you today. We like to make this experience as interactive as we possibly can. So in the comments section, wherever you're tuning in to us this afternoon, drop in where you're viewing from, and maybe even if you're on one of our committees, put the committee name in. And don't forget that we're going to be taking questions from the audience today, so drop those in. We'd also invite you to start a watch party or tag someone who you think might be interested in the information we're sharing here today on Rodeo Houston Live. I'm David Brady, looking forward to being joined in just a few seconds by our Chief Executive Officer, our President of Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo, Dr. Chris Boleman. He'll be on board in just a few seconds to talk to us about the big announcement that was made yesterday, that the big events around Rodeo Houston, including the stadium presentation with the rodeo and the concerts, as well as the carnival and all the outdoor activities, are moving to May 4th through May 23rd. So he'll be joining us here in just a few seconds. Again, reminder, we want this to be interactive. We want you to have a part in this programming. So please let us know in the comments section where you're viewing from. If you're on one of our great volunteer committees, please drop that committee name in, start a watch party, or tag someone who you might think would be interested in hearing the information today. So let's get it started. Again, I'm David Brady. I want to welcome all of you, whether you're one of our committee volunteers or whether you're just a fan of the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo. Thanks for tuning in this afternoon. We've got a lot of different things going on throughout the organization, but the big news that came across this week regarding the 2021 rodeo is that the events in the stadium and outdoors are moving to May 4th through May 23rd. That was announced on Tuesday. Of course, those events in May will still be pending the COVID-19 situation in our community as well. So we want everybody to be aware that we are taking all the precautions necessary, really looking at this in detail, and Dr. Boleman will talk about that in just a moment. The other announcement, it really wasn't a new announcement, but reiterating that the Junior Livestock Show and the Horse Show will go forward in the month of March. We had made that announcement previously, but just wanted to reiterate that we are committed to those events in the month of March. With that, let's talk to our President and CEO, Dr. Chris Boleman. Dr. Boleman, thanks again for joining us here.
You bet. Good to be with you, David, and certainly want to thank everybody for being on, but also just emphasizing everybody continue to be safe through all the things we're going through. But it's great to be here today.
And I know that you've been somewhat busy since the last time we talked in September, so let's get right to it. Let's not as they say in media, bury the lead. Let's go right to it. Tuesday, you announced that we're moving the rodeo from March to May 4th through 23rd. What goes into making such a big and crucial decision like that to move it? It's such a big event.
Sure. Yeah, there's a lot. Obviously, there's a lot that goes into it, and quite frankly, there's even more that we still have to work through, as you know already, as we look to March to May. But obviously, there was so much that we've been considering, and we've been looking at a number of scenarios really since the last summer, May even. And so we knew that COVID-19 is something we were going to have to watch and monitor. We have put into place a number of task forces throughout the summer and throughout the fall and even up till now, where we've really talked about what would happen if, a lot of what ifs, and we played around with a number of scenarios. One of those scenarios was, what if we looked further out? What would that look like for us, and what would that mean for us? And so after looking at all the different situations, all the different scenarios in place, we had a window that opened for us to look at May. And so we decided it was in our best interest to take a close look at it, to see if we could make happen, and working with our partners here in the community, here on park grounds, across the city and the county, I should say, May opened up for us. And as you led off, I want to reiterate, I mean, there are no guarantees in this current environment. The one thing that I've certainly learned, and even maybe the hard way, is you can't try to predict what's going to happen. But we do feel very strongly that May gave us a better opportunity to host events, particularly those events for the public. Again, of course, that's pending COVID-19 health status, but we continue to work with our medical experts and local officials in the planning of the May event to ensure that we can have a healthy and safe plan in place. So that's what went into it. Lots of work to do. A lot of our vendors and partners are right on board with this. I should say all of them. And so it was a good window for us to take advantage of, David.
We've asked everybody to drop in their comments as well as their committees that they're serving on, where they're watching from. We've got someone from New Jersey, here locally, Humble. We've got Dickinson, all over the greater Houston area. Breeders and greeters chiming in, as well as folks from the Wine Garden Committee. So we're off to a great start. Lots of folks tuning in. Want to talk about volunteers for just a second. With 35,000 volunteers really being the fuel that runs the engine here at the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo, they've been anxious. They've been awaiting information and news about this. What do you have to say to those volunteers here today?
Well, thanks for all you're doing to bear with this. There's no question that we are in an adaptive environment. We've had to remain flexible and agile as we've worked through this. It's been tough on them. It's been tough on everybody. And there's a lot of things I could say, but I would start by just saying thank you for your patience and your diligence, and for that matter, your response as we've moved this from March to May. And we know we need to be flexible with each and every volunteer. We know this certainly throws a lot of challenges in that people have to evaluate. And so just want to stop and thank them for everything they're doing. And I just have to say, I mean, there's not a more dedicated volunteer base. We're partners, we're family, we're all one big family. What we do here and our engine and the power of our volunteers, for me, is unduplicated anywhere on earth. And so we can't do it. We can't make a move like this without moving forward. And overall, we've heard extremely positive responses to this. I think everybody knows that the world we're living in right now, and they know that we're trying everything that we can do to do what we do for this community. There's three groups, though, we just have to provide special recognition to, really since the close down last year. And first is our executive committee, who has fought tirelessly and worked with us in the midst of a lot of changeover to help us get to where we need to be from years gone by to today. And then also the current officer team that are working with our chairman, which is the third group. I mean, all three of these leadership teams, I just don't know where we would be without them. And I think that resonates as you look at the 109 committees. It goes all the way throughout the volunteer ranks. But what a blessed group of people we have. It has not been easy. There's no question about it. We've had lots of discussions, but man, we're all plowing forward. We're moving ahead. And I'll tell you, this week is as optimistic, and I'm an optimistic guy. But this week has probably been the most optimistic I've been in a long time. And it's not so much about May. It's more about how we respond to it. Just the overwhelming support we've received. And again, as we work through this together, it's just been awesome.
Well, speaking of those volunteers, they're really showing up in the comments. We got the World Championship Barbecue Cook-Off committees chiming in, Armed Forces Appreciation Day Committee, the Black Heritage Day Committee. We've got several of the wine committees, Corral Club, lots of different corral clubs are chiming in with their gratification for this. I want to talk to you about the reaction to the announcement on Tuesday. And before I get your response, I want to read one in particular comment that I picked up on. It was a woman named Shelley Granberg Paget. She wrote, thanks for, this is in relation to March going forward. Thanks for not giving up on the kids, because the kids did not give up on the show or their animals. And I thought that was really touching to hear that synergy between the kids and the show and the event. And then there was Laura, who said, as a committee member, I really appreciate this decision. Those are two very positive ones. What's been the overall reaction that you've had, Chris?
Yeah, I think it's been extremely positive. I think just as you read there, I think that is a testament of what we've seen in a number of places. We've got family, we've got friends, we've got fans, we've got all the above. And I think overall, people probably saw the same thing that we saw, which was, for a public event, March was going to be very, very challenging. So by providing a May window, that gives us some opportunity. It gives us some hope to do what we like to do. And so our fans are excited for Rodeo. We can't wait to welcome them back in a Houston tradition. And I'm going to tell you what resonated with me, because I'm not going to lie, I was nervous at 2 p.m. On Tuesday when we made that announcement. And you know that, David, and I think a lot of folks do, because I was really antsy to see how people would respond. And I'm going to tell you what my take-home message was, just how much the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo means to people. from everybody that has a role in this show to the community itself, outside of the community, the state of Texas. It means so much to so many people. And I think that was what I gathered. And I knew that, but I think seeing that and seeing the people's responses and the retweets and the positive comments and the hope and the optimism that comes along with it, I just think was outstanding. And so just couldn't be more pleased with how it all came together.
So volunteers make up such a huge part of this organization's show, but we also have a lot of folks who aren't volunteers that help drive it as well. Those are season ticket holders. One of the questions we've already gotten today is, if I'm a season ticket holder, what happens to my season tickets when you moved it from March to May?
It moves to May as well. And I know you've been working a lot on that in your shop, David, but no, basically what we're trying to do here is pick up March and move it to May. So those go right along with it.
Good news. So we've talked about the rodeo, the competitions, concerts, entertainment, carnival, all those things moving from March to May, 2 months down the road. But back in November, we announced that the livestock show, the junior livestock show, and the horse show were going to be held in the month of March. Tell us a little bit about the decision on that, why it was important to keep those events in the month of March and have them.
Well, so many of those events for those exhibitors, both in the junior livestock show and horse show, are date sensitive, they're time sensitive. They've already purchased their projects for certain days that they're expecting in March. And so in following along and learning a lot from what we have seen with other livestock shows, particularly State Fair of Texas, our friends up there, as well as Heart of Texas, we've been able to watch and monitor how these junior livestock show and horse shows have been happening. And we've been very pleased and certainly optimistic about putting those on in a private manner. Our number one goal with the junior livestock show and the horse show is to make sure those exhibitors get a chance to exhibit their livestock. And so by us moving forward, changing our schedule, as you know, again, and not being able to do everything we've always done, because we did have to make some tough decisions, and we certainly appreciate everybody's understanding of that. But by spreading, I'll take the junior show, for example, the junior livestock show, spreading it out over 20 days when typically it's over the 10 to 12 days, gives us the opportunity to meet all the current park guidelines for COVID-19. That was really important to us. Of course, we're getting ready to submit a plan. NRG Park has a plan that's been submitted and reviewed by both the city and county. We're following their lead, using their template to ensure that we can do that. And so for us and the exhibitors and their time frame and what they do in and out of school, that was really important to us. And I'll tell you one other thing that certainly allowed us a lot of hope and showed us that we could do this is I'm so thankful to the scramble committees. They did a great job earlier this fall in hosting the Progress Show for our scramble exhibitors, I should say. That went extremely well. It was a good test for us. It was a good pilot for us. We had a wine competition, and we were able to judge those and spread out up here as well. So we have examples that we can do this. And I think knowing that and knowing what we've learned from some other shows and knowing the commitment and working with the 4-H educators, the 4-H agents and the ag science teachers, the FFA teachers, we feel very much that we're on the right path for that. We're aligned in what we need to do. And we think it's the best plan to get the exhibitors their shot to do what they love to do.
So I want to keep recognizing those committees that are chiming in on Rodeo Houston Live today. I'm David Brady. We're talking with Dr. Chris Boleman, the president and CEO of Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo. And so many volunteers are commenting today. Contestant services are checking in: calf scramble, swine auction, feed store, ranch and wildlife, the Carnival Ticket Service Committee, also the Ticket Services Committee, school art auction, and school art as well, magazine, just everybody's listening in today, Chris. When you talk about the junior livestock show and the horse show in March, what type of safety precautions, as you recognize the impact of COVID-19 on the community, what type of things are going to be in place to make sure everyone is safe and healthy?
Yeah, I mentioned our health and well-being task force earlier. We've been working closely with them. We've been following the plans, as I mentioned, of the other shows. We've been working with NRG Park here and the plans that they have in terms of how they're running, starting to pick up on events that are happening here, work with our partners over at the Texans that we shared the facility with. And so all of that being said, we're putting our plan together to make sure that we can spread out the NRG Center and at the arena in order to follow all the social distancing requirements. We've modified the schedule to do so. Again, we're still finalizing our safety and health requirements, and those change too. We have to be ready for that. But we feel like by making it a private event, and I know that that's disappointing to some, we won't allow people, the public inside. Well, of course, the exhibitors and the folks close to them, their teachers and parents. We've got to figure all that out. But that's our plan in order to ensure a safe environment. We will be videoing or recording those or showing those live, I should say, via our technology at RODEOHOUSTON.com, so people can sit and watch at home virtually the Junior Livestock Show and the Horse Show. So people can still do it. I think we're getting used to those kinds of things, but we feel like minimizing the exposure and minimizing the number of people here is our best bet to pull the show off in March for the Junior Livestock exhibitors, as well as our horse show competition.
A little bit of a pivot here, but thinking about just the an event and planning for it and safety and health considerations, for those rodeo fans who are watching here today, they're probably keeping up with the National Finals Rodeo going on at Globe Life Park in Arlington, Texas. PRCA hosting that event there this year. They've completed 7 of the 10 performances so far. Are you encouraged by that and what's going on up in Arlington?
Of course. I mean, I think you have to be. And you and I both were up there and monitored the situation. We've had other folks. A lot of our volunteers have been up there and reported back. And so I think as we look at big events starting up, and we're looking at stadium presentations and the ability to spread out in our current situation, I do think that we're seeing you can do it if you're willing to do it in a safe manner by following those social distance protocols. So absolutely. And again, as I've said really throughout the year, our biggest advantage is we've been able to watch a number of events go forward and learn from them. From football games, college and NFL and all the above, we've been able to learn and watch. So that's why, of course, we continue to work with our medical and local officials on planning. That I told a group the other day when we made this move to May that I thanked them for all they're doing for us. And I asked them if they'd be willing to serve a few more months for us, because we're going to need them when we move to May, so that we continue to have these conversations and meeting with our local elected officials as well as the medical teams. So we're optimistic. We think it gives us our best, a much better opportunity in looking towards May and learning from these events that went before us.
Well, as always, we like to keep up with those folks who are tuning in and giving us comments, especially those far away. We almost always have viewers chiming in from Australia. Today, we've got Martin from Ireland, who says he was here in 2017, had a great time, but he's watching today from home in Ireland. So thanks, Martin, for tuning in. Hopefully you can get back out here real soon. Chris, you talked about the safety and health precautions and protocols that you're looking at in March. How do you see those falling into place for the May Rodeo Houston competitions, concerts, entertainment, carnival, and all the other stuff that goes on grounds?
Sure. Again, that's the same thing we've been looking at throughout the year. We just have to continue to monitor. We have to continue to work with the local authorities and the medical experts specifically about what's happening and what we can do in order to pull our events off. Of course, I mentioned the task forces. I've mentioned even our volunteers. We have medical doctors, as you know, that serve on our committees. We have a medical committee. We have a health committee and a safety committee, using all that expertise that we have to make sure that we can have our event. It goes a little bit back to our scenarios that we've been planning for a long time. And so each one of those takes into account all the different safety protocols that are in place. We know for May, there may be even some additional safety protocols because it will be warmer. That question's come up a lot. And so we know that. But at the same time, we're just going to continue to learn and watch and work with our folks. And we know there's things that may be different. We know things will be different, and we're okay with that as long as we can do what we need to do to have a safe rodeo.
So those committees keep letting us know what they represent, what committees they represent. We got, and I want to bring these up specifically, but folks on the parade committee, the rodeo run committee, the cook-off, and of course wine competition, which includes Roundup Best Bites, our wine and foodie event that is held just before the rodeo starts. So all those folks want to know about their events. And so how do these pre-rodeo events, these events that aren't specifically tied to the stadium or the outdoor activities on grounds at Carnival, how do those fit into the May plans?
Sure, David. So right now, the idea is to pick up everything and move it 60 days or, about 8 or 9 weeks, depending on when you start. So that's still the plan. We're hopeful that we can do those pre-show events because they're so important to kick off our events. Again, just like everything else, that's what we have to continue to monitor. It's going to be it's going to be pending the health situation at the time, and we're going to continue to evaluate that. But right now, the goal would be just to pick it up and move it, just like the 20-day event.
Gotcha. And as you look at those events and look at those committees and all those folks involved, in terms of timeline, when do you see? Does it come down to you're going to be playing it by ear as things unfold in January, February, in terms of relationship to updating folks on the May events?
I believe so. Yeah, I think that's all we can do, right? And so what we've really done here is we've allowed ourselves more time to see how we're going to respond to COVID-19 moving into 2021. Optimistically, we know there's a vaccine obviously on the way. Today's a big day, we think, for that. And so we don't think it'll be fully in place by then, but we'll at least know where we are in terms of the vaccine. You couple that with everything else that we're learning, the social distancing protocols that are in place, the new technologies that continue to come out regarding testing. I mean, all those are a part of, we have the opportunity to watch and observe how that's going to hit even specifically to Houston, compared to, there's national numbers and then there's Houston numbers. And so again, I mean, looking at all of those are going to be in play as we make decisions.
Let me ask this question more succinctly than I did just a moment ago. When you look at the May events, is there a specific timeline you have in place?
Yeah, so I think it's very similar to the timeline that we put into place for now. What we indicated for March is that we knew we would have a hard check-in at mid-December. We thought that would be certainly a time frame where we would know. And I think watching right now and seeing what's happening, it's still 5 days away from mid-December. So we're making a decision actually a little quicker than that because we've seen the trends and we've seen what's going on, and it was clear to us that March wasn't going to be the time to go. So that's why I'm hesitant to put an exact date next to it. We're going to monitor in January and February. I think certainly as we move into March and we get 2 months out, I do think that'll be the time where we'll have to take a good hard look at where we are and see where we're going from there.
Gotcha. So one of the questions that everybody wants to know, and they are asking this no matter what the year is, it's always the same around this time. Everybody's wanting to know about the lineup. So that's one of the questions been posed here in the chats today about the lineup. Do you expect that to be similar to it normally is a couple of months before the show?
We think so, and our entertainment team is awesome, as you know, and they've been in great and close contact with our entertainers, potential entertainers, and they've had great response to us, and they really believe in our mission. They believe in what we do, and I'm quite confident that the lineup is going to be very well received. How about that? Is that a good way to answer it?
That's a great way to answer. Hey, let's move on. Let's talk about Stay Safe for Rodeo Pledge, because that's important. If everybody wants to have this event happen in May and as close to normal as we can have it, people got a hashtag Stay Safe for Rodeo Pledge, right? Stay Safe for Rodeo and take the pledge. So what can people do to help us get ready for the 2021 rodeo?
Yeah, I think we can all do our part. And that's one of the consistent messages we've heard as we started planning last May with a lot of our medical officials and our medical experts here in Houston. We are so blessed, obviously, to have the medical center here. And there's so many experts in this field and so much support also from the health department, from the county and the city. And so it became very clear to us that we definitely have a role in making sure that we stay safe for rodeo, and for that matter, stay safe for Houston. This is bigger than rodeo, and I want to point that out. Of course, for us, it's hashtag Stay Safe for Rodeo, but we know there's a lot that we can do in order to do our part. And so one of those, as we've been pushing throughout the year, the hashtag Stay Safe for Rodeo Pledge, which for us is masking up, washing our hands with soap and sanitizer. Back up. Let's make sure that we keep 6 feet apart. Let's listen up and follow all the local, state, and national health authorities and official guidelines. And so we're asking everybody to continue to do that as we start to close in on our show, because we know we're looking at these numbers and we know if we do this, we're doing our part. And so obviously you can visit rodeo.com/pledge for more information. But we just want to be committed to this community to do our part to stay safe here in the Houston community.
Hey, how would you like to talk about something else?
Sure, yeah.
So it's been a rough year for everybody, right? But some other exciting news that we recently announced was our educational commitment. Despite the early closure of the rodeo in 2020, we're still making a commitment of nearly $21.7 million to Texas youth and education in 2021. That's got to make you proud.
Well, it should make everybody proud, right? I mean, it's a direct reflection of our volunteers. It's a direct reflection of foresight from our executive committee over the years to make sure we're in a position and be prepared in case there was some tough times ahead. Of course, our donors are so committed to us and what they do for our exhibitors, what they do for our scholarships, what we do for grants. You just nailed it. We're still able to meet our mission. At the end of the day, it's important to point out that we're a nonprofit. We're here for Texas youth, for education, for scholarships, for agriculture. And so absolutely, we're going to award another 800 scholarships to high school seniors, which is 14 million in scholarships. We're making that the same commitment to our junior exhibitors for guaranteed premiums at 5 million, more than 2 million in charities and accredited institutions. And then, of course, 470,000 in graduate assistantships. Again, that's what we do. Everything that we do, every committee out here, no matter what our role is, no matter what we do, our staff, all of us work together to meet the common good. And for us, the common good is our mission. And this is the mission, is to be able to create opportunities for young people to go out and do great things. And for us, it's through our shows, it's through our events for young people, it's through our scholarship program. It's what makes us unique and makes us so awesome here at the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo.
Well, and that number, that $21.7 million number is impressive. But when you look at it in totality over the course of the history of this amazing organization, going back almost 90 years, 89 years next year, it's more than $500 million committed to education, Texas youth and education, which is just unbelievable. And for those kids who are probably more the parents who are watching today, who are thinking, I'd like my child to be eligible and get a chance at some of that scholarship money. Is that available and possible now?
I believe it is. That's right. When we hear that $500 million mark, I just have to tell you, I mean, I just get chills. It's just so who we are. And I sit here and I'm speechless when I hear that number. Well, what a great organization to be a part of. And as you know, I mean, that's from the people that came well before many of us. And we just continue along those same lines and do our best to continue to do the work that's been done before us and tweak it and make it better and all that. But 500 million shows the commitment that this show has to the community. And for that matter, the community has to our show, because it takes everybody to see numbers like that and the difference we make. And it's funny, just today, I was picking up my inbox mail and I saw all the letters this semester from our students who are having tough times, just like many of us. I mean, this has been a unique time to be a college student, but they're so thankful, and it resonates again in what we do, and certainly for me, it helps me get fired up each and every day. But that's right, you can go on right now. Students can visit RodeoHouston.com. They can check out all the scholarship programs. There's a number of them there, and get signed up, get registered, and hopefully you can join the family as a scholar.
Nice. Well, Chris, I want to thank you for joining us today. I know you're super busy and you've been going 100 miles an hour for, well, I guess since about March 13th, March 11th, right, last year. Thanks for spending the time letting the fans know, letting the volunteers know what's going on. And as the rodeo, the carnival, all the outdoor activities, the stadium activities have been moved from March to May 4th through 23rd. We're all excited about 2021. I know the rodeo community is as well. You have any final words for folks today?
Just a quick thanks to everybody. The response this week, even though we still don't know, and there's a lot pending with COVID-19 and the health and well-being of each of us, but from our volunteers to our community, staff, partners, sponsors, vendors, donors, I could go on and on and on. I just am so thankful. All of us are so thankful for each other. This is truly a community. I always say that in a volunteer organization, when personal passion aligns with organizational mission, magic happens. And this is a magical place. And so we're just so thankful to each and every one of you that are doing your part. Even though to some, it may seem like a small part, every small part matches and builds to big parts. And that's what makes us so unique and so different. At the same time, there's no question that I'm concerned about the days just ahead. We see the numbers, we know what they are. So we ask that you continue to be safe. You continue to follow what the experts are telling us and what our local authorities are telling us to stay safe. And for rodeo, but for that matter, for everybody, for each other. The last thing I'll say is, there's a reason the windshield's bigger than the rear view mirror. And the windshield's in front of us, David. 2021 is going to be better than 2020. We can reflect back on it through those rear view mirrors, and there's a lot we can learn. But the one thing that I've learned from 2020 is just how all of us can come together for the betterment of each other. And we're going to continue that. This is what we do at the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo. So to each and every single one of you out there, have a great holiday season. Take care of yourselves. Keep your loved ones close to you. That may not be physically this year, but keep everybody in your thoughts and prayers. And let's come out of this. I see the light at the end of the tunnel. So thank you very much for having me today, David. Thanks for all you do and for everybody at the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Chris Boleman, for joining us on Rodeo Houston Live. Thank you so much for providing that information, sharing some of your thoughts, and answering some questions. To everybody else, thanks for tuning in today. Thanks for being a part of this interactive feature here on Rodeo Houston Live. And remind you all, as Chris said, be safe. It's so important for us all to be safe and healthy for 2021. Remember to do your part, hashtag stay safe for rodeo, and then visit rodeohouston.com/2021 for more information about everything. Have a wonderful holiday season, and let's all make it a great 2021. Thank you.